Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another discussion on COVID, particularly clinical treatment of COVID-19. And we're really delighted to have again Dr. Turner Overton of UAB, Professor of Infectious Disease. And especially pertinent today is that he is the principal investigator for the UAB site of an ambulatory trial of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. In other words, outpatient Plaquenil and azithro. So Turner, welcome. Thanks for telling us about this.
Yeah. Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me again. It's nice to see you. Like I said, eventually we're going to have to break bread together instead of doing it virtually every time.
Yeah. Well, we'll do what we can. So tell us about what you're trying to accomplish with this trial, and what you're looking for in terms of patients.
Yeah, so I think everybody has heard a lot about hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin and the potential to mediate some of the inflammatory consequences. And so this trial has specifically been developed to offer this combination of therapy in a controlled fashion in the outpatient setting. This is a multi-site trial that's led by the NIH. There'll be 2,000 participants enrolling. We're looking to enroll at least 80 participants at our site here in Birmingham. I think there's been a lot of interest of this combination, and much of the data is uncontrolled. We don't have a placebo arm, so we don't really know what the effectiveness is. And this study will definitively tell us whether this combination can prevent severe outcomes of the disease. I'm also excited because all of our studies that we've been doing so far have been for inpatients and people who are really sick. And so this is an opportunity to offer something to people who are ambulatory or very earlier in their disease and maybe mediate the downstream consequences.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a landmark moment here because obviously, I've had patients who've gotten remdesivir, one patient who's gotten convalescent plasma in the last couple of days. But we've not had this available on the ambulatory basis for a trial. And not to get too deep into controversies and even politics about this, but there is just a lot of controversy and uncertainty about whether the benefits outweigh the risks of this particular medicine and just how effective it is. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there is some really interesting observational data, particularly on the outpatient side, that suggests there may be some benefit. And there have been some concerning toxicity seen more with chloroquine than with hydroxychloroquine, but nevertheless, there are some concerns there. So I think a very controlled study can answer the question of whether this drug combination can mitigate disease severity.
So the toxicities you're talking about, other than the guy who drank the fish cleaner, the toxicities are mostly about cardiac arrhythmias, right? If somebody has a prolonged QTC, and you're trying to exclude people who may have that, but you're not doing ECGs, I don't think, in your trial. Is that right?
That's right. So we're excluding people with a history of any cardiac arrhythmias, and also people who are on any medicines who put them at risk for prolonged QTC. To limit the excessive use and unnecessary use of PPE, personal protection equipment, we're really just going to exclude people who may be at increased risk. The other thing that we've done from a safety perspective is the dose of hydroxychloroquine in this study is lower than what has been used in some other studies, particularly the ones where we've seen toxicity. So the FDA has really been very careful about the approach to this study.
Right. So let's talk about why a randomized controlled trial. I've got a patient in front of me, maybe on the screen or on the telephone, maybe actually in person, who's positive for COVID. They're not sick enough to have to be in the hospital. Why is it that I shouldn't this is a drug that's out there. I could prescribe this drug. Why should I be doing it through a randomized trial?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest issue, is that many people have an anecdotal experience with a medication. Unless we randomize people and are uncertain which arm they're on, we can't say definitively if that patient got better because he or she was prescribed hydroxychloroquine, or if he or she got worse because she weren't. So I think by having an RCT, it takes out that bias from the study, and it really gives us the critical data to answer the question.
Right. Right. And how long will it take, do you think, to have an answer out of this trial? Is this going to go on for months and years, or how long is it going to take?
So I certainly hope not. I mean, the goal is to enroll the entire 2,000 participants inside of 3 months. And so if that's the case, the primary endpoint, is day 15. So in a very short order, we will have data on whether this therapy is effective.
So by the fall, we ought to know about
And
this.
so that's really exciting because right now we have nothing to offer patients on the outpatient side that is proven.
Right.
So, if this proves to be effective, then we have an oral therapy that we can give people. Right now, we have no definitive oral therapy to offer to anyone.
Right. So okay, let's say I'm a doctor, I've got a patient who's positive. How far into their illness do they need to be? How sick do they need to be? What are the inclusion criteria here?
So the most important thing is that it needs to be 96 hours from the time of their positive test. We really think that this drug combination is most effective for people early in the course of disease. So we're trying to identify people soon after they get tested. So I sent you some information, and I certainly hope you'll share it. It gives providers some information about the study, as well as a phone number they can call to refer potential study participants to get evaluated. And our team will rapidly call that individual back, do a few screening questions, and if they appear to qualify, we'll have them come here and do their visit.
That's great. So you're trying to start it early, 96 hours or less after the test is taken. And patients don't have to be sick really to amount to anything at all. They just need to be positive. And you're trying to
Positive and some respiratory symptoms, but to get tested right now in our state, as you know, you have to have some symptomatology.
Right, although we may begin some asymptomatic testing. So an asymptomatic positive person would not qualify, but if they have a respiratory symptom, they would. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Well, thanks. And what we're going to do is we will post the information about this on the website and make it available. And if for whatever reason you can't find that, contact us at UAB, either me or Turner, and we'll get you to the right folks. So
All
Turner,
right.
thanks. Yeah. Anything
Everybody
else?
stay safe.
Any other thoughts about COVID? Wash your hands, right?
Wash them hands.
Still 20 seconds, right? We still got to do that. So thank you. If you find these videos interesting and useful, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, tell your friends about it, and stay tuned for more. Thanks again. See you later.